Everybody is religious. Atheism and theism are the same. I engineer software for a living. That's an office job. In almost every office that I've worked, there is usually someone who's very proud of being a so-called unbeliever. That person always believes in Darwinism, which is an occult religion that pretends to be biology. Evolutionism, as taught by Darwinism, is scientifically unproven. Therefore, it doesn't offer facts, but claims. Atheism is just a label that indicates rejection of theism, but in reality it means rejection of mainstream theism in favor of occultism. Atheists embrace all kinds of beliefs and they're always occult. LaVeyan Satanism, Ryalism, Darwinism, and so on are all atheist religions, and they're all occult. Everybody is a believer. Everybody believes in something. Society has always been run in accordance to religion. In India, where Hinduism is dominant, atheists don't behave like Western atheists. Ask any atheist in India what a religion is, and they're likely to say Hindu. In the East and in the pagan societies of old, people didn't or don't just assume that a religion is the only true religion in the world. They're not orthodox. In the West, where Catholicism and Protestantism were dominant, orthodoxy has been inherited from them by Darwinists. So while they claim to be against Christianity, which is what atheism is all about, they have inherited the same mentality as Catholics and Protestants. In turn, like Jews before them, Catholics and Protestants have inherited much from pagans, who they try to replace. In fact, Judaism was built on top of the Canaanite religion, which in turn inherited some theology from the Egyptian and Sumerian religions. Take a look at the Canaanite pantheon. You will see El and Yahweh on the list. Before Judaism, these gods were worshipped as separate deities by Canaanite pagans. Eventually, paganism got plagued by corruption and the Bible attacks this corruption, but the Bible never condemns other religions. In fact, Zoroastrians were the first ones to embrace Yahshua. Those who have stopped learning are called Orthodox because they focus on correct belief. All mainstream Christian denominations are Orthodox, including Protestantism and Catholicism. They think that they already know the truth, so they don't need to seek it anymore. In order to figure out the truth, one must acknowledge to not know the truth. Darwinists haven't seen anything magically evolve into something else. Catholics haven't seen God. Nobody in this world has seen heaven. A religion is a set of beliefs and claims which may be facts, but nobody knows for sure, aside from those who have had personal experiences. The Orthodox pretend like they know for sure. They get convinced by a religious institution into believing that they are not believing. In turn, they give their money, time, and energy to that institution. When a religion or a religious denomination tells you that you need to believe their dogma, otherwise you will go to hell, you can be certain that they are trying to scam you. That's what orthodoxy is all about. No true religion or religious denomination is going to demand people to accept unproven claims as fact and punish them if they don't do so. So orthodox religions and religious denominations are scams. Spirituality is a personal experience. It starts with seeking the truth and accepting it when being confronted by it. Yahshua says in Matthew chapter 7 verse 7, "Seek and you will find." He's the only one in the Bible who says that. The Orthodox don't seek. They have a religious institution like a church, which does the seeking and thinking for them. When Yahshua began his ministry, he was immediately opposed by the Pharisees, who were the Orthodox religious authorities of his time. They hijacked Judaism just like the Catholic, Orthodox Christian and Protestant leaders hijacked Christianity later on and became the Orthodox religious authorities of the Western world. The idea that there is only one true religion in the world is very backward. It's impossible. Humans are capable of understanding very complex concepts and ideas. A computer, for example, couldn't have been invented immediately. It took thousands of years of scientific progress to create a computer. The invention of philosophy also took thousands of years. Religions before philosophy weren't sophisticated. People back then lived off a piece of land. They weren't able to understand much because there wasn't much around to understand. There were no schools. So they had to be given a simple type of spirituality, which is what paganism provided them with. Eventually, humans progress enough to need something else, which in turn convinces some into thinking that they are superior to others or not in need of something else. That's how paganism got plagued with corruption, which is why Babylon, ancient Egypt, the Roman Empire, and so on lie now in ruins. Occultists take over corrupt religions, including their symbols, and pretend like they've always been a cult. Paganism was replaced with Christianity in the West, but now we are yet again facing corruption. The last book of the Bible talks about God sending prophets in the end times, so theological evolution as the Bible sees fit is not even done with Christianity in its current form. It needs to continue to evolve. Religions evolve from other religions. A religion is also updated from time to time. The New Covenant, for example, evolved from the Old Covenant. The Old Covenant talks about Elohim, Yahweh, angels, and so on, but never defines these names and words. That means that readers are already expected to know what those names and words mean. There are two types of religions, occultism and spirituality. They are direct opposites. Occultism is about this world and life on this planet, which is why atheism is so compatible with it. It's all about secrets, fantasies, and being your own god. Spirituality is about improving oneself and going to a better place after dying and being incarnated as something superior. In the Bible, when the previous world was destroyed, Noah and his 3 sons were saved. These 3 sons were Ham, Japheth, and Sam. Ham became the father of the Hamites, which includes ancient Egyptians. Japheth became the father of the Japhethites, which includes Europeans. Sam became the father of the Semites, which includes Jews and Arabs. Modern occultism originated from Hamites. Satanism is occultism. New Ageism is also occultism. Hinduism originated from Japhethites. Christianity originated from Semites. Every other major religion in the world originates from one of these 3. Buddhism originates from Hinduism, for example. All 3 claim that there is more to life than meets the eye. And they're right about that. People throughout the world have always talked about the supernatural and reported seeing supernatural beings. We can see from natural laws, for example, that there is too much consistency for anything to be a coincidence. Take a look at our bodies, for example. A body is a highly sophisticated computer. Computers haven't invented themselves. Software also doesn't develop itself. I've never seen a programmer who is a Darwinist open his laptop and wait for software to magically develop itself. Yet they believe that everything in nature just magically developed itself. Such contradictions are normal for the occult and the left. Take feminists as an example. They like to say, my body, my choice, when it comes to feticide and premarital sex, but whatever the government labels as a vaccine, they accept it and take it. The main problem with God is that they want to get away with immorality and avoid responsibilities and consequences for their actions, which is why Psalms chapter 14 verse 1 says, the fool has said in his heart, there is no Elohim. They don't like to follow God. Instead, they want to make their own rules and be God themselves. That doesn't make sense because humans are prone to corruption. Everything that is put into the hands of man is bound to become corrupt. Fortunately, there is reason enough to believe that a higher power exists. For me, it doesn't matter if people believe in God or multiple gods or in philosophy, for as long as they are spiritual, it's good enough. That doesn't mean that all spiritual religions are true. The majority of religions in the world are obviously fake or outdated. It's relatively easy to recognize fake religions. John the Evangelist stated in 1 John chapter 4 verse 2 to 3 that every spirit who confesses that soon Christ has come in the flesh is of God, and every spirit who doesn't confess that soon Christ has come in the flesh is not of God, and this is the spirit of the Antichrist, of whom you have heard that it comes. The end times have been launched in the 20th century when fallen angels and demons began to get the upper hand in religious thought on earth. That's what the end times are all about. Apostle Paul says in 1 Timothy chapter 4 verse 1, but the Spirit says expressly that in later times some will fall away from the faith, paying attention to seducing spirits and doctrines of demons. They teach atheism and occultism. Their goal is the establishment of a one-world government, which is directly opposed by Christianity, thus making Christianity their arch-enemy. See Revelation chapter 13. Therefore they are very politically oriented. Any religion that is atheist, occult, orthodox or collectivist is false. Any religion that attacks not only Yahshua, but any other spiritual grandmaster, including Krishna and Buddha, is false. If you are a father or a daughter, would you rather have your daughter imitate or follow Kim Kardashian or Buddha? It's really not hard to see what's going on. Who is against Christianity? Socialists, Islamists, feminists, etc. In the West, they all vote the same. No matter how much they seem opposed to each other, in the voting booth they are all the same. In Matthew chapter 7, verse 16, Yahshua says, by the fruit you will know them. That's the Orthoprax Creed. A true religion promotes spirituality, individualism, and either polytheism, monotheism, or paratheism, which is unfortunately also known as transtheism. In paratheism, the focus is on philosophy. It's not necessary to enforce the belief in one god, multiple gods, or a certain philosophy. They are in fact all true. They explain theology from their own distinct angle, and that's important because not every person is the same. For example, the belief in one god works for a lot of people, but some people are better off without the focus on any deity, and so paratheism works best for them. It doesn't matter for as long as it works for them spiritually. In monotheism, for example, God can promise to solve an injustice himself, but in paratheism, it can be stated that karma will solve injustice. It's the same teaching, only from a different perspective. If you are looking for simple spirituality, Buddha Dharma might be for you. It's better known as Buddhism. The Buddha's teachings are largely identical to Yahshua's teachings, but without the complexity of Christianity. Both Jainism and Buddhism are based on monasticism and paratheism. You can't get more simple than that. It's perfect for those who have difficulties understanding complex religions like Hinduism and Christianity. If you're looking for sophisticated spirituality with lots of freedoms, Sanatana Dharma might be for you. It's better known as Hinduism. It's a do-it-yourself religion. It has something for everyone, but the price is that you have to figure it out by yourself. It's monotheism from the get-go, but Hinduism also states that God manifests himself into multiple gods, so polytheism is also accepted by Hinduism. You can choose how to worship God, or you can just focus on philosophy. It's all up to you. What Linux is to operating systems, that's what Hinduism is to theology. If you are looking for a sophisticated spirituality that does the homework for you, Christianity might be for you. It's Judaism, but it's based on the New Covenant rather than the Old Covenant, which doesn't teach spirituality. In Christianity, you don't have to figure it out by yourself. The Bible does all the work for you, and that has been misunderstood as orthodoxy. Catholicism, Orthodox Christianity, and Protestantism are all based on this misunderstanding, which has been used to scare people into submission. That's why I've created this channel. The whole purpose is to expose people to what Christianity is actually about. Actual, authentic Christianity resembles Hinduism way more than Catholicism, Orthodox Christianity, or Protestantism. Indian religions are based on the concepts of dharma, karma, and moksha. In other words, spiritual evolution, spiritual justice, and liberation from this world. That's also what Christianity is all about. We are living in the end times. It's time to choose a side. On the right side we have God and individualists, watchers, and humans. That's the side of spirituality. On the left side we have collectivist demons, humans, and watchers, including Satan, their leader. That's the side of occultism. These two sides are at war with each other. You cannot choose to not be part of this war. You are not only in this world, you are also living at the very end of it. Even if you don't believe in supernatural beings, you can see that the world is becoming more and more evil. It cannot be denied that it's an organized effort. The left side creates religions based on what the target group wants to hear. They mix truths and lies. They especially like to pretend that they are the side of science and progress. Whatever the right side doesn't support, they embrace it in the name of human rights or saving someone. It's always a contradiction, of course. Think of feticide, which they call abortion, theft, which they call taxation, same-sex marriage, and so on. They don't care what they need to support. They're anarchists. They have no standards. They will stoop to any level to win. Compare them to the right side. As the West is falling apart, Christian missionaries go outside of the West, such as to India, which is home to some of the world's oldest spiritual traditions and civilizations. Then they convert spiritual people to the orthodox interpretation of the Bible, which they have heard from the specific church. They are scaring them with threats that are based on mistranslations and misinterpretations of the Bible, claiming that they will go to hell for eternity if they don't convert. It's a complete waste of time. Back home, they're being outnumbered or being outnumbered by Darwinists and sometimes Islamists as well. Churches are being shut down because Christians are leaving their religion. So in order to stay relevant, churches have become lukewarm. They support whatever the enemy supports or wants them to support. Western countries are being flooded with immigrants who vote left, so they are being outvoted as well. The more leftists are in power, the more they are able to expand the government and impose even more taxes and higher taxes. They have established indoctrination camps everywhere. They call them public schools and pretend like they are interested in giving children an education. That's how the left side managed in the first place to brainwash people into doing their bidding. They brainwash children into believing that they are magic monkeys by pretending that they are teaching them factual biology. They tell them that everything in the world is a huge coincidence. Everything came about as the result of struggle and conflict. Thus, there is no order in the universe. So children are being taught that they can do whatever they want. For example, the boys are taught that they can put their reproductive organ into any hole they want. The girls are taught that they can put inside their reproductive organ whatever they want. That's promoted as freedoms during sexual brainwashing at school, which is called sexual education, as if humans need to get educated into knowing how to have sex. If someone gets pregnant but doesn't want to be pregnant, no worries. The nanny state will come to the rescue. So taxes are then used to fund contraception or a feticide, both of which are claimed to be given for free. Another contradiction. So children end up seeing the nanny as the messiah who brings order and will take care of them from cradle to grave and then maybe even beyond, as they think that through science one day man will achieve immortality. It's spiritual warfare. Once children leave their indoctrination camp to work, they have been trained into occultism and doing Satan's bidding, whose goal is to create a global nanny state. They are trained into believing that giving almost all of their income to the nanny state is normal, for example. They literally work more for Satan than themselves. Take a look at how many countries now have an income tax up to over 50%. Finland, Portugal, and Sweden are a few examples. How is it morally justified to punish success like that? That can only be satanic. Belgium has now an income tax up to 79.5%. How badly do you need to brainwash the masses before they accept such wage slavery? In many countries, there is no separation between church and state. Finland is one of those countries. It's a nanny state, one of the worst in the world. Income tax is up to 66.75% in Finland. Corporate tax is up to 20%. VAT is up to 24%. Not only are the national churches fine with it, they also get some of the tax money. One of those national churches is the Finnish Orthodox Church. They have established their own missionary organization in 1977. As they are working with the nanny state, they are going to Eastern Africa to spread what they call the only true religion, but they ignore that the Bible exposes them to be on Satan's side. It's amazing. I've never heard any Christian priest or pastor expose this. but I do hear them constantly condemn other religions and even other Christians for not believing in the orthodox nonsense. Those missionaries should be kicked out of Africa. Not only Africa, but every other continent and every country. They are wolves in sheep clothing. Finland doesn't even have freedom of speech. Blasphemy remains illegal, for example. You can't even expose the wolves in Finland. What they are doing in Africa, African missionaries wouldn't be able to do in Finland if they actually preached the Bible, which would be considered hate speech or blasphemy. Finland should be used as an example of how not to run a country. Unfortunately, the whole world is becoming like Finland. The Sustainable Development Solutions Network is a non-profit that publishes the so-called World Happiness Report. In 2022, they have ranked Finland for the 5th time in a row as the world's happiest country. So who owns or made this non-profit? The UN, of course, the proto-one world government. They are trying to sell the idea that the more enslaved you are by the nanny state, the more happy you will be. All spiritual religions in the world are under attack. Whether you like it or not, you are part of this warfare. Your whole life has been spiritual warfare. Revelation chapter 11 says that in the end times there will be 2 more prophets. Humans are now ready to understand more than the humans during biblical times. God has promised us that He will defeat His enemies. Joining the side of God is a matter of becoming a volunteer for Him. When you choose His side, you choose it for yourself. You won't get paid for it. In fact, most likely you won't get anything for it that has any value in this world. Whatever you will get or hope to get in return is a matter of fate. You are promised to be incarnated in heaven after death and judgment, but it has not been proven to you that it will happen. It's just a promise, but it's enough. After all, would you like to exist in a global dictatorship? Unless you like fascism, communism and other forms of socialism, there is no living in a dictatorship if you have to work for it, only existing. Would you like to live and work for the nanny state? It's a choice between being free and being a slave. Believing in this promise is having faith that at the end of the tunnel there will be light. Apostle Paul has defined what faith means in Hebrews chapter 11. Prophet James defined what religion is in James chapter 1 verse 27, stating, "Religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this, to look after orphans and widows in their distress and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world." You can only become spiritual when you are not enough polluted by the world. Scriptures clean the mind. They undo the brainwashing. The same applies to everyone. We are all part of this war. Some have woken up, some have not. Hindus, Buddhists, Zoroastrians, and Christians should unite against the forces of darkness and wake as many people up as possible.